Hey, and welcome to Eat Out at Home, the podcast. This is the place for those who love cooking and creating connections through food. I'm your host, Chef Evelyn, and on this podcast, I share with you my favorite tips and tricks for enjoying life one bite at a time. If you're ready for today's episode, sit back, relax, grab a snack, and let's dive in. Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Eat Out at Home, the podcast. I'm your host, Chef Evelyn, and today I want to talk about how cooking at home shouldn't feel like an inconvenience and how that seems to be a growing undercurrent when we talk about cooking at home. And what inspired this episode is I've seen these hilariously funny videos on social media of people coming home from work and they're still fully dressed in their work attire, whether they work in a hospital or an office, they've still got their work bag on or their book bag or whatever the case may be. And the joke is like, hey, I need to go ahead and cook dinner right now because if I sit down, it's not going to happen, right? And, I have been cooking for myself 6 days a week for several years now. There was a time where I was not cooking at home at all. I actually did a podcast episode about how I went 7 years without cooking at home and how crazy that experience was. And, I've created a system for it, which is one of the things I go through in Eat Out at Home, the course. But I want to talk about how somewhere along the way, the idea of feeding ourselves has been slated as an inconvenience and how I think that is not beneficial to us as a human race, as a culture, that cooking our meals and taking time to feed ourselves is something that needs to be optimized and rushed through and gotten out of the way or outsourced. And while there's nothing wrong with 30-minute meals and quick sheet pan dinners and air fryers or even getting it outsourced, I used to be a personal chef or, ordering on the delivery apps. There's a time and a place for all of those things, right? I don't think any of those things are inherently wrong or bad. But what I am concerned about is this notion that it's such a chore to have to feed ourselves. And if you really think about it in a more macro level view, feeding ourselves is essential for our survival, right? Like we know this. And so I'm trying to figure out where along the way did doing something that's essential for our survival become such an inconvenience. I think about it like showering, right? Like, I don't know if people think of cleaning themselves as an inconvenience or showering, but yet feeding ourselves seems to have gotten this undertone and overtone, shall I say, of inconvenient. It feels like a chore. It feels labor intensive, all of these things that I don't think it was designed to be that way. I don't think it needs to be that way. And I think with the right tools and strategies and things in place, that it actually can be quite an enjoyable experience. And at a bare minimum, it can be neutral, like devoid of any kind of negative feelings associated with it. And so, I would love to get your thoughts and your comments underneath this podcast episode about why do you think cooking at home and for yourself or for your family or whoever has gotten this tone of inconvenience. But I do think it's this. I think that the rest of the world and the rest of our responsibilities have created so much a demand on our capacity, our time, our energy, that the things that are essential to living a good life, eating well, resting, play, joy, leisure, recreation, travel, all of these things get stuffed into the corners of our lives where productivity becomes the priority. And so anything that doesn't feel productive or doesn't feel like it's quote unquote moving our life forward seems like a inconvenience that, yes, I need to get it done because I need to eat and not starve to death. But man, if I could do it in 5 minutes or less, that'd be great. And I'm not advocating for people who really don't like the process of cooking that you spend hours in the kitchen every day, right? There is more to life than cooking meals. But at the same time, so much of our human experience is around cooking meals and sharing food with each other and feeding ourselves and slowing down and having conversations over the table and over a meal and passing down cultural dishes and, family values and all this kind of stuff. And if it's an inconvenience or if we're spending the majority of our time eating our meals in the car, standing up over the sink, in front of a device, in front of a TV. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with eating in front of the TV or, having your phone out, but not for every meal. And, there's been so many statistics about the increasing number of meals that are being consumed in a moving car, which I find alarming. And I just think that we're robbing ourselves of the joy, not only of cooking, but the joy of eating, the joy of communing, the joy of breaking bread together. And so if you find yourself like, yeah, Evelyn, I definitely fall into the category of cooking feels like such an inconvenience. There's reasons for that, right? Like there's, it could be energy levels. It could be maybe the kind of meals that you're prepping are a little too labor intensive for the schedule that you have. It could be the tools. It could be a lot of things. I go over a lot of what I call friction factors that make cooking at home feel like a chore. And so you can figure out which ones of those apply to you so you can put a plan in place to rectify those. I go over that in one of my extended YouTube videos. But I also, inside of Eat Out of the Home, the course, I go into detail about how to rectify those things, right? Like, if you're just out of inspiration, if the prep time is taking too long, if it's, you're tired of eating the same thing over and over again, whatever the case may be, there is a solution for that. So you don't have to endure cooking at home. It can actually be something, if you let it, that you enjoy. So quick episode today, but really just wanted to talk about my concern for this rising undertone and overtone of cooking at home or cooking for yourself is an inconvenience. And that I would challenge us to change our perspective that what other things in our life are demanding so much of our time, our energy, our mental capacity, that caring for ourselves in the simplest way, this is not even extracurricular, like sustaining our life through nourishment has become an inconvenience. Like, let's really let's let that sink in. Let's think about that for a second. Like, what else is more important than staying alive? Right? Okay, I literally, the Bee Gees just started playing in my head, and I am dating myself because of that. But if we really think about it, if we slow down long enough to say, hey, wait a minute, what is more important than feeding myself? Because if I don't feed myself, I won't be here longer to do anything productive. And who benefits from me thinking that feeding myself is inconvenient and is a chore? Well, fast food chains benefit. The more unhealthy we eat and, we're not digesting our food well because we're eating standing up, we're eating in a rush, and there's negative health benefits to that, then insurance companies and things like that benefit. Convenience food and prepackaged foods with all sorts of ingredients, they benefit, right? Restaurants benefit, things like that. And here's the thing, none of these things, again, I'm not trying to villainize these things or say that they're malicious in any way, but anything that's taking you away from you caring for yourself and then says, I have a solution, they're benefiting, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And so some people may say it's not that deep, but I really think it is. I really think there's a lot of things that are being missed. Even the mental health benefits of just taking the time to prepare something, even if it's just 15 minutes, right? Just slowing down long enough, being focused on one task long enough, right? To let your brain slow down, to do something with your hands and to have instant gratification of what you prepared and something that you enjoy. So there's lots of other outside forces that benefit when we don't take the time to care for ourselves by feeding ourselves, that have convinced us that it is an inconvenience to care for ourselves and to feed ourselves and to take the time to do that. And that it's just this, labor intensive chore that's getting in the way of you being more productive. So that's all I have to say on that subject. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. If you haven't had a chance to check out Eat Out at Home, the course, how to make cooking at home easy and not exhausting, head over to the link in the description notes and the description of the show, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you're ready to start cooking at home consistently, make sure you join the Eat Out at Home challenge. Visit chefevelyn.com/challenge for all of the details. If you're curious about what I'm cooking in between episodes, make sure to give me a follow on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for some delicious behind the scenes. And if you enjoyed this episode, please head on over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify to leave us a review. Remember, eating out at home allows you to cook better, eat healthier, save money, and create community. And most importantly, cooking at home is the ultimate form of self-care. I'll see you in the next episode.